What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chaz, and welcome back to the Chaz Cast for part 2 of our WrestleMania tier ranking breakdown. Today's episode is going to be WrestleManias 11 through 20. Definitely changing of the guard. Last episode was very Hulk Hogan dominated. Now we're at the new generation, about to transfer into the Attitude Era, which is inarguably, I don't care what you say, inarguably the greatest time in professional wrestling history. The old Attitude Era itself. So we're going to do it just like we did last time. When I say we're breaking down and dissecting and ranking the WrestleManias, it's not the entire card per se that'll be taken into account, but it's really hard pressed on the major draw or two, the main event, the biggest draw. And if you did not catch last episode, ranking 1 through 10, go and check that out first, because I'm not going to re-explain everything. But we're gonna dive right into the ranking of the shows, and we're gonna start with, as you can see above my back shoulder there, WrestleMania 11. WrestleMania 11 was a downtime, and WrestleMania is April 2nd, 1995, Hartford, Connecticut, the Hartford Civic Center. I mean, it's just a weird time for them to. That's just a weird. WrestleMania is usually in huge towns. I'm not saying that Hartford, Connecticut isn't a large, a huge city, but it's not the normal kind of place. So, looking at the card real quick, there's only 7 matches. Allied Powers, which was Lex Luger, the British Bulldog, which is a team that I thought could have been huge and did a lot of stuff well and whatever. So they beat the Blue Brothers, Jacob and Eli, with Uncle Zebekiah. And fun fact about Jacob and Eli Blue, they became Chains and Skull 8-Ball or whatever a few years later. The next match was the Intercontinental title match. Razor Ramon beat Jeff Jarrett. Undertaker defeated King Kong Bundy. Owen Hart and Yokozuna defeated the Smoking Guns for the Tag Team Championships. Bret Hart defeated Bob Backlund in an I Quit match. Diesel defeated Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship. And another big spectacle with a celebrity, Lawrence Taylor defeats Bam Bam Bigelow. Here we are in the rankings here. This is no surprise, guys. This is an F. I mean, this is an awful WrestleMania. It's one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. It really is. I mean, the main event, Lawrence Taylor did fine, but Shawn and Razor left something on the table. Bret Hart vs. Bob Backlund sounds like it will be great. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. Undertaker vs. King Kong Bundy was just blubber. I mean, it was way King Kong Bundy way after his prime, The Allied Powers and Blue Brothers match might have been the best match of the card. No, you know what? Razor and Jeff Jarrett was pretty good, too. But just, not the best WrestleMania at all. And we're just going to move straight on to WrestleMania 12, which I got to get and show you guys the cover. Sunday, March 31st, at the Anaheim Pond Arena in Anaheim, California. California. I said it like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's in California. It is WrestleMania 12. 1996. WrestleMania 12. Let's check out the card. Okay, so on the free-for-all, Body Donna, Skip and Zip with Sonny defeated the Godwins, and the Huckster defeated the Nacho Man, which the Huckster and the Nacho Man were just like skinny guys dressed like old guys wrestling each other, and Billionaire Ted was a special guest referee. It was like just making fun of WCW for taking all their old talent. So moving on, though, you've got only 6 matches on this card, and one of them is less than 2 minutes, but you'll see why. Starts off with the Bulldog, Owen Hart, and Vader beating Ahmed Johnson, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Yokozuna. Yes, Jake the Snake made a comeback. Roddy the Piper defeated Goldust in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, which was insane and fantastic. Your WrestleMania debut of one Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Savio Vega by TKO. The Ultimate Warrior makes his big return and defeated Hunter Hearst Helmsley in 1 minute and 39 seconds. You know, whoever that Hunter Hearst Helmsley guy getting buried in his first WrestleMania match by the Ultimate Warrior, I hope something came of the guy, because, you know, just because he lost a match and you can never recover from that. You know, you can never recover from losing a match. The Undertaker defeated Diesel, and then Shawn Michaels defeated Bret Hart by pinfall in 1 hour and almost 2 minute match of an Iron Man match. It was supposed to be 60 minutes, but it went on to overtime. From this point on, I have watched every single one of these WrestleManias live. I've seen this one live with Robbie Vegas. The next one, 13, I caught the replay right after, and then for sure from 14 on I watched everyone live. So this is now the start of me being into wrestling, as a youth. I was 10 years old here. I was into it before, but now I'm getting the Manias. I'm watching the Manias and all that stuff. And it's so now you're entering my era. WrestleMania 12. We're going to give a solid A to. Great. It was a great card overall. It could have almost been an S card. An S-tier Mania, honestly, and it's close. The only thing that holds it back for me, honestly, is the main event. Undertaker vs. Diesel was great. Roddy Piper vs. Goldust was a phenomenal match. Really cool match, just going throughout the card. Huckster vs. Nacho Man, bussin'. But Shawn Michaels vs. Bret Hart, a lot of people are going to say it's a classic match. It's a very good match, but come on, man, it's an hour. And the really only exciting part was at the end. Iron Man matches are weird. It's just kind of what's the point of me watching the entire match when it's probably going to be tied in the last 2 minutes, and that's all that matters, right? So they're a little weird. It's a long match. To watch a match for an hour is tough. They did a great, phenomenal job, taking nothing away from them. But we are putting it in A, and I don't think there should be much arguments about that. It should be an A. What do you think? Say it in the comments below. And let's move on to WrestleMania 13. WrestleMania 13, y'all. March 23rd, 1997, at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, Illinois. Folks, is it Illinois or Illinois? Let me know in the comments down below. WrestleMania 13. This is really, really where it starts turning into the Attitude Era for sure. This is probably the last WrestleMania that's teetering between the New Generation and the Attitude Era. This is right between the two. But there's a certain part in this WrestleMania that really takes over into the Attitude Era, and you're going to find out now. So the dark match on the free-for-all, Billy Gunn defeated Flash Funk. I forgot about Flash Funk. He's so funky. The first match was a 4-way elimination match to determine the number one contender for the WWF Tag Team Championship. The Headbangers defeated Doug Furnas and Phil LaFon, the Godwins with the new Blackjack, which was Bradshaw and Perry Windham, via pinfall. The next match was Rocky Maivia's WrestleMania debut, defeated the Sultan, which is Rikishi, later for the Intercontinental Champion, or he defended it. Triple H defeats Goldust. In the Tag Team Championship match, Owen Hart and British Bulldog retain their championship against Mankind and Vader. Now the match of the night, guys, right here, Bret Hart defeats Stone Cold Steve Austin in a no disqualification submission match with Ken Shamrock as a special guest referee. One of the greatest matches of all time, one of the biggest double turns of all time, which started one of the craziest runs from this point out. Canada versus America, basically, after this point out. So awesome. So awesome. Now, after this, it gets a little jumbly. The Chicago Street Fight, Ahmed Johnson and the Legion of Doom defeats the Nation of Domination. Weird. And your main event of the night was The Undertaker defeating Psycho Sid for his first or his second WWF championship. I this is like I said, so I'm gonna start to be biased here, but I'm trying to be objective. This Mania was the first one I was really, really into. It has one of the greatest matches of all time. It really does. But you can almost, if you want to. So on the last one, we put in the S tier, WrestleMania 3, because, again, Steamboat and Savage, one of the greatest matches of all time. Just like WrestleMania 13, 10 years later, Austin and Bret Hart, one of the greatest matches of all time. And those are the undercards. The main events, though, don't stack up. Hogan versus Andre is such a bigger deal. Like, eons bigger deal, bigger than Sid and Undertaker. And the problem with this Mania, if you guys don't remember, is there's such a big jumble ahead of time. Shawn Michaels loses the title to Sid, then beats Sid for the title, and then gives it up because he's injured, and then Bret Hart wins it, and then Sid beats Bret Hart for it, and they're all jumbling, and it's a little wild because of Shawn Michaels' injury. Or, like Bret Hart would want to tell you, Shawn Michaels' injury. Because rumor has it like this main event was supposed to be another Michaels and Bret Hart, but it gave us one of the greatest matches ever with Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So WrestleMania 13, though, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a tier below. It's a B. WrestleMania 13 is a B. It's really carried by one match. It's a fun card, but, it's also the end of the era. You had about 9 years of like the Hogan era, maybe 8, WrestleManias 1 through 8, 1 through 9. And then you had only WrestleMania like 9, 10, 11, 12. So maybe even 10, 11, and 12 of the new generation. And now, folks, we are headed in to the Attitude Era. No doubt. Because we are headed towards WrestleMania 14, guys. March 29th, 1998, from the Fleet Center in Boston, Massachusetts. Right on the cover here, you see it right there. Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and the Iron Man, Mike Tyson. Tyson, one of the biggest boxers of all time. All the pay-per-view records at that time. Guy was in prison for a while, came out whooping ass, couldn't handle Evander Holyfield. Yeah, I said it. You could not handle Evander Holyfield twice, Tyson. And bit his ear off, and he just got suspended from boxing, so he couldn't box. So smartly, WWF brings him in to be there for WrestleMania 14. And we'll start, and we'll talk about the card real quick. LOD 2000. That's so lame. LOD 2000, Hawk and Animal with Sonny, defeats a tag team battle royal to determine the number one contender for the WWF championships. And the last people they beat were the Midnight Express, Bodacious Bart and Bombastic Bob. That was Bart Gunn and Bob Holly from the NWA with Jim Cornette. Weird, I know. Light Heavyweight Championship, Taka Michinoku defeats Aguila. European Championship match, Triple H defeats Owen Hart. Mixed tag match, Mark Mero and Sable defeats the artist formerly known as Goldust and Luna Vachon. Intercontinental Championship match, The Rock with the Nation Domination defeats Ken Shamrock. Dumpster match for the WWF Tag Team Championship, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie defeats the New Age Outlaws. Freaking awesome. Undertaker versus Kane. And Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship. Guys, home run, slam dunk, S tier match. Not only do you have the Brothers of Destruction's first match, what a big build coming off of that. That's K debuted a few months before. The Rock versus Ken Shamrock was a huge match. Mark Mero and Sable were electric at this time. The New Age Outlaws, Cactus Jack, what a fun match. But Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels with Iron Mike Tyson not in the corner of Shawn Michaels allegedly. But it was such a fun match. It was Shawn Michaels was hurting, but he puts Steve over. Stone Cold Steve Austin becomes the champion. He's already the biggest wrestler in the world. It's the first time he wins the title on WrestleMania the way it should be, beating Shawn Michaels with DX and having Mike Tyson in his corner. But then Shawn Michaels gets lippy with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson puts him down with a punch, and Shawn Michaels must have been scared shitless, but Mike Tyson puts Shawn Michaels down with a punch and rips off his DX shirt to show he was a Stone Cold fan all the time. Or, as Mike Tyson would say, Cold Stone, I love Cold Stone, fan all the time. Easily one of the best Manias ever, and S tier. Moving on, folks, to WrestleMania 15, which I don't have next to me, but you're gonna have to just imagine the cover here. Wow, March 28th, 1999 in Philly, where WrestleMania is this year. WrestleMania 18. What another huge pay-per-view. This is when WWF was just the hottest thing in the world. You have 12 matches on this one. 2 of them were dark matches, which were Jacqueline versus Ivory and a battle royal to determine the number 1 contender for the tag team championship, which was won by D'Lo Brown and Test. So, wait, D'Lo Brown and Test won when... Okay, yeah, sorry. D'Lo Brown and Test won. Okay, so moving on to the main card, 10 matches. Triple threat for the Hardcore Championship. Hardcore Holly defeats Billy Gunn and Al Snow. Tag Team Championship match. Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett defeats D'Lo Brown and Test, who won at the beginning of the thing. A Brawl for All match. Butterbean KOs Bart Gunn in 35 seconds. That fight, Butterbean versus Bart Gunn, almost looked like Anthony Joshua knocking out Francis Ngannou's ass. Yeah, I said it. I mean, it was really close, honestly. Mankind defeats Big Show, so Mankind gets to be the special guest referee in the main event. Then you had 4 corners elimination match for the Intercontinental Championship. Road Dogg wins against Goldust, Ken Shamrock, and Val Venus. Kane defeats Triple H Kane defeats Triple H. The Women's Championship match, Sable defeats Tori. Shane McMahon defeats X-Pac for the European Championship. The Undertaker defeats Big Boss Man. And Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats The Rock for the WWF Championship. Good, pretty solid crowd, guys. Card here. Undertaker vs. Big Boss Man was a bit of a letdown, but Taker was just so great at this time. Stone Cold Steve Austin vs. The Rock, the start of a trilogy of matches with one of the greatest rivalries in the history of wrestling. Sable versus Tori, Kane versus Triple H. If we're going to be honest, and we're going to keep talking about how it is the main card and the big draws and stuff, it's got to be an S tier. How do you not? You could argue A tier. I'll give you A tier. But Stone Cold versus The Rock, that first time, fan-fucking-tastic. And if you want to go A, I won't be mad at you. But we're going to go S tier for this one. All right, now we're moving on to WrestleMania. Some would say 16, but some would say WrestleMania 2000. I believe technically it's, WrestleMania 2000. That one doesn't want to stay. It's got a different... It's got a little different cover here. Let's move out our Fantasy Football Bros Championship and do that. It might not stay still. Okay, there we go. So WrestleMania 16, WrestleMania 2000, another big WrestleMania. This one's back in Anaheim, I believe. The Anaheim Pond. April 2nd, WrestleMania 2000. 9-match card. Your first match, tag team. Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan defeats Godfather and D'Lo Brown. Hardcore Battle Royal for the Hardcore Championship won by Hardcore Holly beating Crash Holly. TNA, Test and Albert, defeat Head Cheese, Al Snow, and Steve Blackman. Triple threat match for the WWF Tag Team Championship, guys. Edge and Christian defeats the Dudley Boys, Devon Dudley and the Hardy Boys. Insanity. Cat fight match, Terry Runnels versus the Cat. 6-person intergender tag team match. China and Too Cool defeats the Radicals. Perry said, whatever. Oh, that's because China was wrestling men. Okay, that's why it was so weird. So the triple threat match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship and the European Championship. Kurt Angle is both champions. The first falls Intercontinental title. Chris Benoit wins and is the Intercontinental Championship. Second falls the European title. Chris Jericho wins. What a What an insanity. Kane and Rikishi defeats DX, X-Pac, and Road Dogg, and your main event, a McMahon in every corner. Triple H with Stephanie McMahon wins the title, or retains the title, sorry, against The Rock with Vince McMahon, Mick Foley with Linda McMahon, and The Big Show with Shane McMahon. It was a wild show, guys. It's a fun show. Your main event obviously is pretty cool, but everyone just remembers that Edge and Christian match for the title. If I have to seriously, if I'm putting WrestleMania 15 up there, you'd think I'd put 16 up there, even though 16 has one of the best and greatest matches of all time. But guys, I gotta put it in the A tier. Just don't think it's an S tier WrestleMania, and I'll tell you why. I love that Edge and Christian match, and I love all these matches per se. I mean, Edge. I mean, come on, you got Chris Benoit. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. I'm not allowed to say that. You've got Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle. But the problem with this Mania for me, and this is the only reason it's getting a downgrade, is you heard all this, guys. There is not one singles match on this card. And I really think it brings it down a bit. It's just a lot of weird matches and chaos. If you look at these 9 matches, tag match, hardcore battle royal, tag match, triangle ladder match, cat fight. There was one one-on-one match between the ladies. I messed up there. But other than the ladies match, like I said, tag match, hardcore battle royal, tag match, triangle ladder match, 6-person intergender tag team match, 2-fall triple threat match, tag match, 4 fatal 4-way elimination match. So just a lot there, and I don't think it's absurd to put it down on the A tier. And we are going to move on, guys, to the biggest, I believe, WrestleMania to date. WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania X7. 67,925 people at the Astrodome in Houston. A total buy of 1.4 million. That's enormous numbers. 1.04 million. That's a humongous numbers, guys. One of the biggest and most revered WrestleManias of all time. 12 matches. You got on the house show part of it, or the black match, the dark match, the blacked out match. You got X Factor, which was X-Pac and Just Incredible, defeated Steve Blackman and Grandmaster. I didn't even know that team existed until this moment, by the way. And this was the biggest time I was watching wrestling. So on the start of the show, Chris Jericho defends his Intercontinental title against William Regal. 6-man tag match, Chaz and the APA defeat Right to Censor, Godfather Val Venis and Bull Buchanan. Kane defeats Big Show in a triple threat hardcore match. Kane defeats Raven in the Big Show in a triple threat hardcore match for the Hardcore Championship. Eddie Guerrero defeats Test for the European title. Kurt Angle defeats Chris Benoit. What a match. Chyna defeats Ivory. Shane McMahon and Linda McMahon defeat Mr. McMahon with Stephanie McMahon and Trish Stratus. What a match, though, man. When Linda stood up and kicked Vince in the balls, that crowd unglued. It was insane. Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys and Dudley Boys for TLC 2. Not as good as 1, but still great. The Iron Sheik wins the gimmick battle royal. Undertaker versus Triple H. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats The Rock to win the title. But in that time, it was a big swerve and a big turn, guys. Stone Cold Steve Austin has aligned himself with Vince McMahon after Vince McMahon just got booted in the balls by his wife, guys. It's a fucking slam dunk of a WrestleMania. Man, it is. I'm trying to figure out where to put it here. It's an S tier. But if I'm going to be honest, I think it's going to go above 15, but behind 14. But it's still in the S tier, and there's no doubt about it. You can't argue it. And if you try to argue, you're wrong. You're just wrong. So just take the hit. We're going to move on, guys, to WrestleMania 18. As you can see from here, the one and only WrestleMania 18, March 17th, 2002. Again from Toronto, Canada. Get it set up here. Icon versus Icon, guys. The main event is Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, against The Rock. And this WrestleMania started off with the house show match. Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Albert defeat Mr. Perfect, Lance Storm, and Test. I didn't even know Mr. Perfect was on the pre-show. Why is Mr. Perfect on the pre-show? Awful. Anyway, moving on. Rob Van Dam defeats William Regal for the Intercontinental Championship. DDP defeats Christian to retain the European Championship. Maven versus Goldust ended when Spike Dudley pinned Maven for the Hardcore Championship. The Hardcore belt is stupid. Listen to this, guys. Listen to these matches. Kurt Angle defeats Kane. The Undertaker defeats Ric Flair. Edge defeats Booker T. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats Scott Hall. Then you have a Four Corners elimination tag match. Billy and Chuck defeats the APA, the Dudley Boys, and the Hardy Boys. Guys, The Rock defeats Hulk Hogan. Chazz defeats Trish Stratus and Lita for the WWF Women's Champion. And Triple H defeats Chris Jericho for the undisputed heavyweight WWF Championship. And there is no doubt about it that even though I love Chris Jericho, Triple H is great, that's not the main event. That was the match that went on last. The Rock. I did it for The Rock. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. Guys, this is S tier plus. This is going right to the top of the list right now, of course. It is an iconic WrestleMania. It is an iconic WrestleMania moment. The electricity. That match, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock should have went on last. It killed the crowd. Everyone was exhausted and dead. Guys, go home right now and watch this match again. Turn the sound up. The crowd was lit for this, guys. It was insane. It is one of the greatest WrestleMania matches, one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time, and it is easily S plus tier if I made that one. It doesn't even compare, guys. It really doesn't. We're going to move on to WrestleMania 19. WrestleMania 19, guys, March 30th, 2003. On the cover of my VHS, you got Vince on the cover there with Hulk Hogan. There was a big build-up for that. Okay, Vince and Hulk Hogan on the cover. Let's take a look at the card, guys. 10 matches, one off, one part of the pre-show, which was Chief Morley and Lance Storm defeats Kane and Rob Van Dam by pin. Why is Kane on the pre-show? They just had so much talent here. Your first match, Matt Hardy defeats Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight Championship. The Undertaker defeats Big Show and A-Train in a handicap match. Women's Championship, Trish Stratus defeats Victoria and Jazz. WWE Tag Team Championship. Oh, is this the first one with the WWE? I think this is the first WWE branded one. Where was I? Team Angle, Benjamin and Haas defeats Rhino and Chris Benoit and Los Guerreros for the Tag Team Championship. Shawn Michaels defeated Chris Jericho in a singles match. Triple H defeats Booker T. Hulk Hogan versus Mr. McMahon. The Rock defeats Stone Cold Steve Austin in his last match ever, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Brock Lesnar defeats Kurt Angle for the WWF Championship. Great match between Brock and Angle, but if you even look, even on the VHS, and this was before any of Brock's shortcomings that we found out, Vince McMahon and Hogan are on the cover. That was a huge match. Vince McMahon and Hogan had the second most time, but it was pretty wild. It was a retirement match for Hogan. I'm pretty sure just people were interfering. But The Rock versus Stone Cold is what people remember. Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Triple H versus Booker T. Like, this is a hell of a Mania. It really is. I just think it left a little to desire. Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. They deserve to be where they were, but this is going on at the lower part of the age here. They deserve to be there. It was such a quick push for Brock. This is Brock's first WrestleMania, and he's headlining it. And his second WrestleMania, he's out the door. Like, there's just too quick of a push for Brock for me. Not saying he shouldn't have won the title. You should have had Stone Cold and The Rock main event. You should have, and I think it drags it down because of it, and I'm sad about it to this day. But we're gonna move on to WrestleMania 20, back where it all begins again in New York City. WrestleMania 20, guys, right there, Sunday, March 14th, 2004. WrestleMania, Madison Square Garden. Is Hulk Hogan going to be there? He was at the part of the last two. Is he going to be back at Madison Square Garden? Nope. No, he's not. This WrestleMania, funny story enough, I remember watching at Hooters back in the day, of all places. I told you I watched everyone, but so it starts off with some new blood. John Cena beating the Big Show to win the WWE United States Champion. Then you had a fatal four-way for the tag team. Rob Van Dam and Booker T defeated Garrison Cade and Jindrak. Dudley Boys, La Resistance. And then you had Christian defeating Chris Jericho. Evolution, Randy Orton, Batista, and Ric Flair defeats the Rock and Sock Connection in a handicap match. Torrie Wilson and Sable defeats Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler. The Cruiserweight Open for the Cruiserweight Championship. Chavo, Chavo, wins the title against Akio, Billy Kidman, Funaki, Jamie Noble, Nunzio, Rey Mysterio, Shannon Moore, Tajiri, and Ultimo Dragon. Obviously a lot of WCW influx of talent here. What an odd match. Special guest Stone Cold Steve Austin referees the match when Goldberg beats Brock Lesnar and the fans are booing them out of town because they both know it's their last matches. Thanks, Dave Meltzer. Then you had a fatal four-way tag for the WWE Championship. Too Cool defeats the world's greatest tag team, Basham Brothers and the APA. Then you had Victoria defeating Molly Holly in a hair versus title match. Then you had Eddie Guerrero defeating Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship. Undertaker defeating Kane by pinfall in the Undertaker match. And Chris Benoit, then you had Benoit defeating Triple H and Shawn Michaels by submission for the World Heavyweight title. It's an interesting card for sure. There's a lot going on in this, but the iconic memories of Benoit and Guerrero winning the titles, Undertaker keeping his streak going. The Goldberg match, though, the Goldberg-Lesnar match really brings this down, guys. It really does to me. It's close. It's on the verge of B and A for me. I think I'm going to put it as the top tier of the B category, just because that main event is great. That Kurt Angle match is great. It's really brought down by Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. It really is brought down by that. But to put it in the top rank of B, I don't think is a bad thing, guys. And there you have it, guys. You have your second round of wrestling of your WrestleManias 11 through 20 rankings, and they are as follows: WrestleMania 18, WrestleMania 14, WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania 15 are all in the S tier, followed by WrestleMania 16, WrestleMania 12, WrestleMania what one is that? WrestleMania 19, followed by WrestleMania 20. WrestleMania 13, and then WrestleMania 11 down there. That's your championship. Like I said, you can maybe move this up to A, maybe move this down to A, maybe move this down to C. You have a lot of options here, but that's the way it is, and that's the way that we're going to go with it, guys. So, again, thank you for checking out the last video, and thank you for checking out this video. And remember, we got 2 more to go, guys. A lot more wrestling content coming, because is Cody Rhodes going to finish his story in less than 3 weeks, guys? I don't know. You're going to have to watch. All right, guys, thanks for checking out the video. Until next time, peace.